If you have absolutely zero experience using Microsoft Word and want to get started in as little time as possible, then this guide is for you. I'm going to show you everything you need to know as a beginner for using Word, from understanding the interface, saving your first document, adding text, images, tables, and so much more. So let's dive straight into it and get started, and I hope you enjoy. When you open Word, you're greeted with the Start screen. Here you can start a new document or explore a range of templates. Templates are pre-designed documents for specific purposes like resumes, brochures, or reports. They save you time on formatting and let you focus more on content. However, for beginners, I suggest you don't look at these until you are comfortable with the software. Under this, you will see any recent documents you have been working on so you can quickly reopen them. For the purpose of this tutorial, let's start with a new blank document. And here is the main Word interface. It might seem overwhelming at first, but it's rather intuitive. At the top, you will see what is known as the ribbon. It's your main control panel in Word. The ribbon is organized into tabs, including File, Home, Insert, Design, and others. And by clicking on each tab, you will see it contains a group of related tools. For instance, in the Home tab, you'll find basic text formatting tools like font style, size, bold, italics, and underline, as well as paragraph settings. Just above the ribbon is a solid blue bar. This is the quick access toolbar that contains some commonly used actions that you can quickly find. Currently, there is save, undo action, and redo action. When you get more comfortable with the software, you can actually use this drop down menu to customize your quick access toolbar to suit how you work. But for now, let's leave it as it is. The main white area below the ribbon is where you create your document. This is known as the document area. You can click anywhere on this blank space to start typing, and as you type, the text will flow from left to right and top to bottom, just like in a standard text document. At the very bottom of the software, you'll find the status bar. This useful feature displays information about your current document, such as the page you're on, the total number of words in the document, and the proofing language. It also includes view buttons that let you switch between different document views, like read mode, print layout, and web layout. I advise you to stay in print layout as you begin your Word journey. You can also use the slider here to zoom in and out of the document. And here's a little tip. To quickly zoom in and out of the document, you can hold the Control key down on your keyboard and use your mouse wheel to quickly adjust the zoom. I use this all the time. Before we go any further, I think now's a great time to show you how to save your work to your computer. Saving your document in Word is as easy as going to File, Save As. Note that you need to go to Save As instead of Save the very first time you save a new document, as Word doesn't know the location on your computer where you want to save the file to. The two main options you have when saving is to save your work to your OneDrive account, which is linked to your Microsoft account, and doing so means that you can access the document online by logging into your OneDrive account. Or you can just save the document to the computer you are working on, which is probably the most popular option. To do this, click on the Browse button. In the new window, find a suitable location on your computer to save your work. I'll go on my desktop. You then need to enter a file name. Obviously pick something that relates to the document, and the file type will already be set to Word document, so there's no need to change this. Then just click Save. If you now look at the very top of the Word software, you will see the file name and that this is saved to this PC. Now the document is saved, every time you make any changes or want to resave your document, you can simply just go to File Save. You can also do this quickly by using the Save button here, or by pressing and holding the Control key down on your keyboard and pressing the letter S, as this is a shortcut. Before we add any content to your document, it's always best to confirm you have set up the layout of your document to meet your needs. Within Word, head on over to the Layout tab. There are just a few options in the page setup area that you should confirm, starting with the document size. Most of the time, you will likely just need a standard A4 document, which is what the default size is set to. But there may be times where you want to create a different document size, such as a letter. To change your size, you can click on a preset option from the drop-down menu, or go to the More Paper Sizes option at the bottom if your size is not listed here. You can then enter the exact width and height measurements your final document needs to be, then click OK. Once you have confirmed the document size, the next thing to think about is what orientation do you want the page to be? Is it portrait or landscape? The standard, what we have set here, is portrait. The landscape option essentially turns your document 90 degrees clockwise. This can be useful to use when you have a large table on your document with quite a few columns in it. But for the majority of cases, you'll likely want to remain in portrait orientation. Another key thing you should think about before adding your content is the margins. The margin is essentially the amount of space between the document edge and the start of your content on your document. As you can see, the standard margin is 2.54 centimeters on the top, right, bottom, and left sides of the document. This will likely meet your needs 99% of the time. However, if you want to change the size of the margins, either choose a preset option from the drop-down list or select custom margin and enter the values you need in this next window. Now we've had a brief look around the Word interface and set up your document, let's go ahead and add some content, starting with text. When you click on your blank document, you'll see the blinking cursor on the top left corner of the page. This is where you start typing. Go ahead and type a few words or sentences. Whenever you hit enter on your keyboard, you will notice that the blinking cursor icon is moved to the line below. This indicates a new paragraph. To delete a word, sentence, or paragraph, you can simply click and drag on it to highlight it and press delete or backspace on your keyboard. You can also click on an area where you want to remove and use the backspace key to delete characters to the left of the cursor, or use the delete key to remove characters to the right of the cursor. After you've added some text, you'll probably want to format it to change its appearance. If you head on over to the Home tab, you will see the main formatting options you will need in this ribbon. Let's focus on the font group of tools here. By using the drop-down menu, you can adjust the font. This is currently set to Calibri. Let's change this. When I do this, you will notice that nothing has changed on my document. It still looks the same. This is because I didn't highlight the text before I changed the font settings. If I instead click on a blank new area on the document and begin typing, you will see that it will use the new font. If you want to change the settings of the text you already have on your document, then you firstly need to select it, then you can change the font settings as before. With the text selected, let's take a look at a few other key font formatting settings. In the drop-down menu here, you can adjust the font size. The larger this number, the larger the font. You can also use these buttons here to increase or decrease the font size slightly, instead of using the drop-down menu. Another tip to mention here is that if you're unsure what any of these buttons in the ribbon do, simply hover your cursor over them to see a text prompt of that function. Three common formatting options you will likely use in Word are these here: bold, italicize, and underline. Selecting these will apply that formatting to your selected text, and clicking the same button again will remove that formatting. If you notice on the underline function button, there is a small downward facing arrow. Whenever you see these in the ribbon, it means there are additional options related to that function. If you click on the arrow, you can see in this instance you can adjust what the underline style looks like, such as a dotted line or a solid line. Another key feature you will likely need to understand as a beginner is the font color options. So by selecting this down arrow, you can set the color you want, for example, orange. You will then notice the button itself now has an orange underline in it. This means the color is set to orange for this function, and you can quickly change the color of other words in your document by highlighting them and selecting the button. So you don't have to select the arrow to specify the color each time you do this. The majority of these formatting tools I have mentioned so far can also be accessed by simply highlighting the text on your document. By doing so, you will notice a new toolbar hovering near your selection. You can then make the adjustments here. It's just a little bit quicker than going to the ribbon at the top. After you've played around with the different formatting tools and become more confident in Word, I suggest you click on this little arrow in the corner. Whenever you see these small arrows in the ribbon, it means you can view additional or more advanced settings. So give it a go when you feel more confident. Okay, so I've talked about formatting text in the form of words and sentences. Let's take a closer look at paragraphs. As mentioned, every time you write a piece of text and press the Enter key, what you are doing here is creating a new paragraph. And with each new paragraph, you can then go to the Home tab and use the paragraph options here to tweak their appearance. For example, these four buttons here can be used to change the alignment of the paragraph. I'll adjust the alignment of this paragraph to demonstrate. By highlighting it and switching to center alignment, you can then see the alignment has shifted to the middle. You can also choose the right alignment too if you want. The button at the end is known as Justify. When Justify alignment is selected, it evenly distributes the words in your paragraph across the page, so it kind of looks like a newspaper article. Another thing you can do to adjust the position of the paragraph is to apply indents to them. By increasing the indent, you move the paragraph further into the document, whereas reducing the indent moves the paragraph closer to the edge of the document, or the margin. If you want to play around further with the position of the paragraphs in your document, then you can look into the line spacing options here. As you increase this value, you will notice the lines in your paragraph separate out more. And if you go to the line spacing options, a new window will open where you can fine tune the indentation and spacing settings further. Let me now move on and quickly talk about bulleted and numbered lists, which is probably something you will use more often than you think. To turn your paragraphs into a bulleted or numbered list, select your paragraphs in the document and use these buttons here. If you want greater control over the appearance of the bullets or numbers, then you can look at the additional options after clicking on the small down arrows. For example, you can change the symbol that is used for the bullets. And if you're feeling extra adventurous, you can look at this option here, which is to create a multi-level list. Basically, you can have a mixture of bullets and numbers in the same list. Once you've added a list to your paragraphs, you can add a new bullet or number entry by clicking on the last item in the list and pressing the Enter key on your keyboard. If you then want to add a standard paragraph under your list, just press the Enter key button a few times to remove the formatting. Another thing to know about bulleted and numbered lists is that you can create sub-bullets by selecting a bullet and then increasing the indentation as I demonstrated earlier. You can also reduce the indentation to remove any sub-bullets. And that's a short overview of bulleted and numbered lists. Let's now move on to something a little bit different, and that's how to insert images and shapes into your Word document. To do this, head on over to the Insert tab in the ribbon. You'll then see a few useful options in the Illustrations group here. The first thing you need to do before you insert an image onto your document is to decide where you want the image to be inserted. Simply double-click on the document in the place where you want the image to be. Then go to the Pictures button. You can either insert a picture that is saved on your device, a stock image, which searches image libraries on the internet, or you can use different online sources to find a picture. For this demonstration, I'll select the first option, as it's likely you will have an image saved already on your computer that you will like to insert into your document. Selecting this will open the Insert Picture window. You then just need to find the image you want on your computer. I will select this picture and click Insert. You will then see the image appear on your document. To start off, you'll likely want to resize your image. With the image selected, you will notice some white circles that appear around it. If you click and drag on these from the corner of your image, you can then easily resize it. If you want greater control over the image size, then head on over to the new Picture Format tab that now appears when you select the image. It's in this tab that you can tweak the settings of your image. And in the far right, you can see the size given in centimeters. You can simply adjust these values to resize your image. To rotate your image, you can use these circular arrows above your image and drag on them to the desired angle. Or you can head on over to the Rotate Objects menu and adjust the rotation settings from here. When it comes to moving images around your document, it can be quite frustrating. You will notice that if you click and drag on the image to move it around, it actually doesn't do anything. This is because the standard layout option for images in Word is for them to be wrapped in line with the text around it. And so when there isn't text on the page, the image doesn't really move. Let me add some text onto the page so you understand this better. If I now click and drag on the image to move it around, you will see it shifting around to fit between the text. To change the text wrapping options of the image, select it, then go to Picture Format and head to Wrap Text. You can also choose to have the image appear in front of text, which now makes it free to move around the page. To explore more image options, including how to add effects to the image, you can right-click on the image and choose Format Picture. This will open a new sidebar, which I recommend you look through when you get more confident. That's enough of images. What about objects? Well, the process has a lot of similarities as adding images. To add a new object, go to Insert, Shapes, and choose a desired shape from the drop-down menu. I'll select this arrow. You then simply click and drag on the document to create the shape in the size you want. You can then resize and rotate the object as you would any image. Unlike images, shapes are set to appear in front of any text on the document, meaning you can easily click and drag the shape to move it around your page. To adjust the color of the shape, go to Shape Format, and here you can change the shape fill and outline colors. Another tip before we move on to talking about tables is adding text inside of shapes. To do this, simply double click on an object and start typing. You'll then see the text appear inside your object. You can adjust the font as you would any other piece of text. As a beginner, another aspect you will likely need to learn in Word is how to add and adjust tables. I've actually got an in-depth tutorial that focuses just on this, so I recommend you check that out if you want to learn more. But let me give you a top-line overview of the key features. To add a table, head on over to the Insert tab, then click the Table button. In the drop-down menu, you will see a grid. Move your cursor over the grid to select the number of columns and rows for your table. Then click to insert the table into your document. You can add or remove columns and rows by selecting a cell in the table and going to Layout, then choosing an option from here. Similarly, you can choose to delete cells, columns, and rows by selecting the Delete drop-down menu here. To adjust the size of the columns and rows in the table, simply click and drag on the borders in the table. If you want to tweak the appearance of your table, such as change the color of the cells and borders, then go to the Table Design tab. There are so many preset styles to pick from, or you can change the color separately by using the Shading drop-down menu here. To change the border thickness, style, and color, you can use these tools. As well as adding elements, such as images, shapes, and tables, as a beginner, you will likely need to know how to add hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are simply links that go to a specific web page, so they make your text a clickable object. And let me show you how to quickly add them. All you need to do is highlight the piece of text in your document, then go to Insert, then Link. In the left side, ensure the existing file option is selected. Then all you need to do is add your desired web address in the address box here. You can just copy and paste this from your internet browser. Then click OK. You'll then notice your text is now underlined and in a different color to the rest. This signifies that the text has a link attached to it. If you scroll your mouse over the text, you can preview the link. And if you hold the Control key on your keyboard while clicking on the link, you can then open the link on your computer. Up next, let's quickly discuss how to add page numbers, headers, and footers to your document. When you're working with a large document, you may want to add page numbers to the corner of your pages, as this can make it easier for the reader to navigate your document. Adding page numbers to your Word document is super easy. Just head on over to the Insert tab and select Page Number. You can then choose to add page numbers to the top or bottom of your page. And if you scroll over each option, you can then choose to place the numbers in the left, center, or right of the page. Alternatively, you can also add page numbers to the page margin or where you have placed your cursor on the document. Let's add the numbers to the top right corner of every page for this example. And as you can see, Word has added a page number on every page. And if you go ahead and add more pages, Word will continue the page number sequencing. What you will also notice at this point is that the numbering appears in almost grey font compared with the other text in your document. This is because the numbers are actually part of the header or footer section. If you double click on the numbers, you will see the header or footer section appear. The dotted line underneath shows where this header or footer section appears. There is also a new header and footer tab that appears. Here you can tweak the properties of the page numbering. For example, if you go back to the page number drop-down menu, you can tweak the numbering format by selecting the format option. Let's say you want to change the style from numbers to letters or even Roman numerals. If you then double-click outside the header or footer area, you will then go back to the document. As well as adding page numbers, you can also add your own text or images to the header or footer sections of the document, so they appear on the same location on every page. For example, let's go ahead and add a page number by going to Insert, Header. Word has a few preset styles to choose from, but let's select the basic blank option here. You can then go ahead and add your text, or even add an image such as a company logo using these options here. The content in the header will then appear on all your pages. Pretty cool. Once you're happy with the content on your document, you will likely want to proof it by checking the spelling and grammar. As you work on your document, you will likely see some text has a squiggly red line under it, unless you have impeccable spelling. Instances like this mean the word is spelt incorrectly. The red line underneath is Word's way of flagging this to you. What you can do in this instance is right-click on the word and go to the spelling option. Word will then recommend a few options for you. You can then choose the correct option and Word will update this word for the correct spelling. Using this approach is a great way as you draft your document. However, it's probably best to use Word's spelling and grammar checker once you have a lot of content, as this will make the proofing so much easier. To do this, head to the Review tab and select Spelling and Grammar. This should open up the Editor sidebar to the right. You may also see some additional markups on your document, including instances where words have blue lines under them. This indicates a grammar improvement suggestion. Let's look at the editor to the right. At the top, you will see the number of spelling and grammar suggestions, and underneath, you will see the suggestion Word has provided. If it is a spelling suggestion, this will be flagged as a red word. Word then provides some suggestions to choose underneath. You can select from one of these options, or you can choose to ignore the suggestion if you think the spelling is just fine. You can even add the flagged term to the dictionary if you want. After you have selected an option, the editor will then move to the next spelling or grammar suggestion. The process is then similar for grammar suggestions. Simply choose the best suggestion or choose to ignore it. Once you're happy with your document, you may want to print it. To print a document, go to File, Print. You will then see a preview of what your document will look like once printed. It's as simple as selecting a printer connected to your network. If you cannot find your printer listed, then you may need to add a new printer and follow the instructions. You can also adjust the settings below. For example, you can change the orientation of your document. You can also specify how many copies of the document you want printed. Once happy, just hit print. When it comes to sharing your Word document with others, there are generally two ways you should go about it, but this depends on what you want the other users to do with your document. If you want others to be able to edit your document, maybe provide comments or simple updates, then you will want to share the Word document file. This is the original file with the .docx file type. Simply send this file via email or messaging app, and others will be able to open the file with their Microsoft Word software. Alternatively, if you don't want others to edit your document, then I recommend you firstly save your document as a PDF document. To do this, go to File, Save As, and change the file type to PDF. PDF files can then be opened with a PDF reader, such as Adobe Acrobat Reader. As you can see, the document appears exactly how it does in Word, however, users are unable to make any edits to it. PDF files are also easy to share, sometimes being smaller in size than the original Word document. And that brings me to the end of this complete beginner's guide to Microsoft Word. You now know how to use the key features to get up and running with Word. Let me know in the comments below if you found this useful or want to request more tutorials. I'm always open to suggestions. And if you want to learn more about using Word, then be sure to check out my other tutorials on my channel. And I'll see you in the next one.